2022. Alrighty, Ted, when you are ready to go, we can.
All right, let's do it.
Hi, this is Peyton Kelly. I'm here.
Hello.
Thanks, Peyton.
All right.
How are you guys doing today?
Hello and welcome to the Design Review Board meeting of May 4th, 2022. This meeting is being conducted utilizing teleconferencing and electronic means consistent with the state of California's executive orders regarding COVID-19 pandemic. Live streaming Zoom is being utilized for this meeting. In case of technical issues, meetings will be uploaded to the city website as soon as possible after this meeting. We'll be conducting today's meeting in a virtual setting using Zoom. Design Review Board members and staff are participating from remote locations, practicing appropriate social distancing. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting by use of Zoom as noted in the city's website and noted on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to speak may do so during public comment or may comment on agenda items during the discussion of each item and must be logged into Zoom to do so. Anyone using abusive, vulgar, offensive, threatening, or harassing language, personal attacks of any kind, offensive terms that target specific individuals or groups will be muted and removed from the meeting. Please do not abuse this new form to provide public comment. All right. Moving into our agenda.
All right, are we ready for a roll call?
We are.
All right, I will start off with Christine Lovell,
I'm here.
Carrie Bush,
Here.
Marshall Balfe. Looks like he is absent today. Vice Chair Lars Langberg
Here.
and Chair Ted Luthen.
Present.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Let's see, we have some unapproved minutes that we need to take care of from, let's see, we've got February 16th, 2022 and March 2nd.
It looks like March 2nd was the only minutes that I sent out to you guys. We will scratch the February 16th and I'll put it on the next agenda item.
There we go. Okay.
So there's no confusion there.
Sounds good. Thank you for that. Any comments on the minutes? This was our meeting to talk about the standard conditions of approval, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Any comments on those minutes?
No comments.
Seeing and hearing none, can I get a motion for approval, please?
Sure, I'll move to approve those minutes as written.
All right, we have a motion for approval of the minutes. Can I have a second, please?
Sure, I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much. Got a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? If not, we'll call the question. All in favor of approval of the minutes, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
You are.
Aye. Sounds like unanimous approval on the minutes. We're making unbelievable progress. All right, planning department update on matters of general interest. John, anything fun going on planning?
Yeah, so last night I presented the standard conditions of approval to City Council, and they made some minor modifications, but also approved the request for any additional modifications to that document to be made by either the Design Review Board or Planning Commission. So that is something that we will start applying to projects moving forward in that regard. The Woodmark project would not be subject to those design conditions of approval, as their project was submitted before these were approved. I know that was a question of concern during the council meeting last night. So other than that, our next agenda item is going to be the Huntley Square project. For the design review portion of it, that project was approved by council their March 1st meeting, and the design review portion of it will be at the next meeting. And city council also started the conversation about hybrid schedule format meetings going forward. And it doesn't look like they're ready to make that transition yet, but it could be something in the near future, fall of this year, where they would change that schedule, and the other boards and commissions would follow suit with what city council is going to be moving forward with. So those are the main things that I have from the planning department, and that's it.
All right.
I have a question, John, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Can you give us an update on the SB 35 schedule, application schedule for Woodmark?
Yes.
What's
so
the status of that?
it's within its 90-day completeness review. Once that's completed, if there's any comments or questions that need to go out to the applicant team, I know Carrie and the project planner for the project, David Hogan, are working on getting those items together, and those will also be uploaded to the city's website under the special projects tab in the planning department section.
At this point, is the public allowed to make any comment whatsoever?
I'm not sure, but we can also, if there are any public comments or concerns, you can mail them into the city clerk, and we can get them located on that file.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, John. Do we have any comments from the public regarding items not on our agenda? Anybody just have something to say about something that we're not talking about today? Not seeing any. Did we receive anything electronically, John?
No, we did not.
All right, then let's move on. I'm assuming if anybody had a conflict of interest, they probably wouldn't be here. So let's move on to our regular agenda item for 150, 154 North Main. Do we want to talk about all these at once? How would we like to do this, John?
That's up to you. We can go through them one by one, and then the award portion of it, we can go into further discussion, because it is over the amount that we have left in the fund that's available. We'll have to make some sort of decision on how that money is distributed in a fair way. So
Gotcha.
there are some recommendations within the staff report on how to handle that. And then also a recommendation if there's a different amount that the board sees fit.
Gotcha. Yeah, let's take them one by one, and just we might have some questions about each one individually.
Okay. So the first one is 150, 154 North Main Street. The applicant, Connie Salinas, is requesting a facade improvement rebate to update the existing wood awning, which has rotted out, to a new canvas style awning. It also includes new fascia boards and paint. Project's been quoted out to $14,186.73 and would qualify for the maximum $2,500 rebate. I do see Connie here in the gallery, so if there are any questions for her, I'm sure she'll be willing to answer those additionally from members of the board.
Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, I saw. Hi, Connie. How are you? I think you're muted. Should be probably in the lower left corner of your Zoom screen. Should be a little mute button.
Okay, here we go.
There you
Sorry,
go.
it wasn't responding for some reason. Yeah, I'm Connie, and this is my mother-in-law, Sue, who is the owner of the building. Hi.
Hello, welcome. Okay, so the plan here is to remove the existing canopies, the wood frame canopies, and replace them with fabric, right?
Yes, and the wood, there were two different wooden awnings on the building split down the middle, so there's two businesses. And they were rotting so bad, they were going in, the water was leaking into the front windows, coming into the electrical lights in the front. So we've already removed those because it was quite a hazard. And so right now it's just, those have been removed. There's, the rotted areas have been sealed off and are removed and sealed off. And then we're waiting to put the fascia boards on and paint. And then the canvas, the awning company has already started the procedure to get the permits through the city. So that's where we are right now.
Gotcha. And are you running two separate awnings or one awning across kind of both buildings?
It's two separate awnings, which was true with the wooden awnings as well. So yeah, it'll be two separate awnings.
Gotcha. Any questions from board members on this? Not seeing or hearing any. All right, thank you very much. I think what we'll do is we'll run through each one. We'll ask any questions that we have, and then we'll have that financial discussion at the end. I think probably makes the most sense. All right, so Connie, hang with us, and we'll get back to you here shortly.
Okay.
All right. Our next one is 6741 Sebastopol and 6761 Sebastopol, Gravenstein Station.
Correct. Yeah, so Gravenstein Station has 3 addresses there, all one parcel. So we had them split it up into 3 separate applications just to make it a little bit easier. All of them are for changing out the existing landscaping and installing new irrigation. There are different price quotes. 2 are the same for 6741 and 6771 at $5,640. And then the 6761 is quoted out to $3,960. All 3 of those would be eligible for the $2,500 rebate. And Peyton is here representing the Gravenstein Station to answer any questions for the landscaping changes.
Sounds good. Thank you for that, John. Board members, any questions of our applicant?
Yes, I have a question.
Fire away,
So
please.
is all of this landscaping for the 3 addresses, is that all on the street front?
Correct.
So you're going to have kind of one sort of continuous design that draws the whole thing together?
Correct. And
plantings,
if you guys had any, yeah, and we're not tied to any certain plan. I think the direction that we've given our landscapers is we want, perennials that are long lasting and, water efficient plants. So if you guys have any recommendations on what you would like to see, at the gateway to Sebastopol, we're more than open to suggestions. So.
How about it, Carrie? That's your area.
Thanks, Christine. I'm kind of glad you asked that question. So those a little bit were my questions. I picked through the application itself, and I don't know if I'm getting into the, to the board review. I think, but I was going to ask, exactly what you asked there, Christine, is what were the 5 gallons? What were the 12 5 gallons? What were the 42 1 gallons? What are the 9? That's for 6741. I mean, these are, I don't see a plan in an effort to sort of, pull the the city's standards and guidelines for that all improvement projects shall comply with current codes and ordinances. We have a WELO policy in place, and that's a water efficient landscape ordinance. We would have to see, some good faith for estimated water uses, allowances, and those sort of things. So I would like to know more about the material. While it's kind of left up to us, that's not our role. Our role is to review the application in its form and sort of reply to that, or at least, kind of make our recommendations from that. But I would just like to make sure that what is put out there is definitely meeting a water efficient landscape ordinance. And other
Yeah,
than that,
certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly, and we would as well. Obviously, we want to be conserving as much water and reducing the property's operating expenses as much as we can. And I do apologize. I had to call in from the phone today, so I'm not on Zoom. John, can you remind me if the examples of the plants that our landscaper provided are attached to that?
Let me double check.
That we were given.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see any exhibits for our review.
I know I sent it separately, so maybe it didn't make its way in there, but we did provide examples of, what our landscaper recommended to use when we directed them to use water efficient plants and perennials so that, would kind of look good all year round. So those are the examples that were given to us. I can share them again. I'm not at a computer right now, so I can send it after this. Or if John, has it and can share it, that would be great as well. Those are the examples given. But again, if you guys I don't know if there's, a specific flower, that kind of represents the city of Sebastopol. I guess that's more what I was referencing. If you guys had, a specific flower that you would like to be, for lack of a better word, landmark, we'd be happy to do so. But we did provide the examples of what we were planning to plant there. And I do apologize because it was not provided in that initial document. And, John, doing his due diligence, had asked for that. And we had sent some photos and examples in.
So can I just clarify again, is it just on the Highway 12 front, or it's around the rest of the buildings too?
No, the budget for it is just on the front of the property.
Okay.
That's what this is included, is just that front of the property.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Carrie, I was able to find that document. So there's some of the plant material here. And I can, if you want to go through these a little bit more, we can definitely do that. But it looks like these sections up here are roughly the same. These last two pages are the plant material that was suggested.
I see. Yeah, it's hard to know how they're presented, their arrangement, their spacing. Let's just say there's a matrix that allows for water use when and how they're applied. And we usually see plans that sort of suggest how they'll be applied. So it's hard for me to really sort of give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this one based on how it is or how it isn't applied. I know all these plants pretty well, and they are rather tough. It'd be interesting to see from a designer's perspective of how they'll be used. Will they be, candy striped? Will they be grouped in massings? How will even some of these perennials be maintained? So I'm just spitballing here, but those are some of my questions.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know, and we'd be happy to do so. Just to be 100% honest with you, we were a little reluctant to move forward because they wanted a design fee from us in order to do that. And again, just to be 100% honest with you, we've had some trouble, with income at this property, since the hotel has been converted. We have a lot of tenants, unhappy and not wanting to pay, the same rents that they were paying previously. And I'm sure, as you know, this property sold in the last couple of years. So, you know, the value, the property taxes have been updated. So it's like, you know, the property taxes were updated, COVID hit, you know, then the hotel was converted. So we had considered that. Again, we were, you know, reluctant to move forward with it unless we had, you know, an idea of percentage chance of the, you know, grant going through. But I mean, if we're thinking that, you know, we're going to be able to utilize the grant, I think I could, you know, convince the landlord to move forward with the formal design.
Thanks, Peyton. You know, I really appreciate that. That's huge because it's a great step forward in regards to not only the brand of the building and the property, the entrance to town. I mean, it's good faith efforts and, you know, all of it. It's just as a board member, we're here to sort of review designs and see how they apply, especially when it comes to code and ordinance. So I'm just trying to say that it's hard for me to really respond with 100% certainty exactly if it meets that code and ordinance. So I'm just I'm supportive of these endeavors, just to say that to start with. And in fact, I'm in support of primarily of this whole program, and I'm speaking for myself as a board member here.
Yeah, and we certainly appreciate it, you know, the landlords and the tenants, and, you know, Spark has really been pushing forward on this, and they even came to the point where they're like, look, we'll spend some money on the landscaping. You know, they're spending you know, probably $200,000 right now on a build out of their space. So they're going to be there for the long term. You know, it's more the other portions of the building that are struggling. And I'd like to echo what you said. You know, we'd love to, you know, make a step in the right direction. So, you know, we can either, you know, find some new tenants or, you know, figure out what's going on with the current one. So we'd love to do that. And, you know, if you guys are supportive of that, like I said, I think I can, you know, get the landlord to proceed. I think it was like $1,000 for like a design review. Or like a design mock-up or something like that they wanted to charge us, but I think we can get that done.
Yeah, thanks. You know, we're at least I am. I'm always looking for a sketch. You know, we're looking for colors. We're looking for rhythm, repetition, line, form, texture. These are things that really influence me as a designer. So when I can see these sort of things and how they're applied, it's a lot more for me to respond to. Other than I've got, you know, I've got hundreds of plants, some in 5 gallons, some in 1s, and I don't know how they're, you know, really fully applied. And but again, I'm here to say that I'm supportive of your efforts to date.
Yeah, and we're always open to feedback too. So we'll move forward with that first step. And if, you know, if you guys think there could be a way that it could better represent Sebastopol, like I said, we're you know, more than happy to hear feedback and to act on it.
Great. Hey, just one more minor question I had just for you as the applicant would be, you mentioned brown mini mulch. Is that sort of that quarter minus type of organic matter that is a mulch, or is it like a dyed brown mini mulch?
That's a good question. I'd have to ask my landscaper, but I can do so.
Okay.
So the question is dyed or organic, pretty much?
Yeah, you got it.
I'm sure we'd have the option. So, you know, if they're not quoting organic, you know, it wouldn't be much to just, you know, get that changed real quick. So I can just direct them to do so.
It actually may save you some money to go to the bulk, you know, organic. Maybe if it's a quarter minus or a Sierra Mini, it'd be a lot more cost effective than bagged brown dyed mulch, so to speak. So that's why I'm asking.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, that's great. Then I'll make sure we're saving as much money as possible, because we're always into that.
Thanks, Peyton.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and I think echoing what Carrie said, yeah, the board is very supportive of reinvestment in local businesses. So I can't remember the last one of these things we denied. So, but we like to see the sketches, drawings, plans, so we understand where the city's money is going. So I think it's all good stuff. A question for you, just thinking about this one, and Peyton, you might be able to chime in on this, but first, John, in the thing, it says the city's fiscal year ends July 1st. is that when the funding for this program gets re-upped?
Yes, so the end of the fiscal year would be, I think June 30th.
Okay.
And then when the new fiscal year begins, that kind of replenishment of the facade improvement funds goes back to the 20,000, or if council decides to increase that amount, then it would change to that new amount.
Gotcha. And is that money committed for next year that you know of, or is that something that's going to happen in budget discussions as the fiscal year comes to an end?
I believe it's going to be a consideration within the budget talks, and that's something that we can also discuss later on today. I believe that's one of the points in the agendas, potentially looking at date changes as well to make it a little bit earlier, so we don't get so many last minute sort of applications and requests. So
yeah, and the reason I'm thinking about it is, if Peyton needs a little bit of time to design, comes back in a month. Now we're in June. And if I'm correct, also, we can approve something sort of retroactively, right? So if they make the investment, say they go ahead with the work in June, come to us in July in the next fiscal year, that's something we can approve kind of retroactively, correct?
I will double check with Carrie, but I believe that is a option if they've gone through and you've approved the project before the end of the fiscal year, and then that project moves forward and gets funded after or when the new fiscal year starts. But I'd have to double check with Carrie to see if that's the correct order of operations.
Gotcha. How those mechanics matter.
Yeah.
And hey guys, I'll just offer this. I'm not sure what the formal process looks like, but these guys do a lot of work for me in my other properties, and if I ask them to, I could probably get something done in a week.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Peyton. Let's move on to our next one. We're back on Main Street again, correct?
Yep. So next one we have is 127 North Main Street. Applicant Craig Goldstein is requesting a facade improvement program to remove the existing Tom B Realty sign and replace it with a new updated version. The project has been quoted at $7,054.49 and would also qualify for the $2,500 rebate. I do see Craig here, and he can answer any additional questions the board may have.
Sounds good. Any questions of our applicant from board members?
Yes, I have a question.
Fire away.
So, okay, Craig, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. First, I just want to offer my condolences to the recent passing of the Tom B patriarch at Pellicini. So, my sincerest condolences. So the question that I have for you is, how does the new sign differ from the old sign, or is it the same and just, new? I mean, what's the difference between the new and the old?
It's the same type of font. And John, I just sent you a photo of the front of the building. Some of our signage is faded. So all we're doing is pretty much just kind of updating it the same way, cleaning it up. Now, one thing I want to clarify, though, on that estimate, that is actually for the front and the back of the building. So I can get an updated one breaking down what it's going to cost to do the front and what it's going to cost to do the back, so you guys can have a better understanding.
Yeah, and I think for this one, your building does have multiple frontages, and they're kind of publicly visible from both sides. So I think consideration of both sides would be appropriate. Oh, gotcha. There it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Isn't there another, there's a font on the next slide that looks different than this one, so it's not just replacing it exactly as is.
Now it's going with a kind of a more serif typeface.
You're actually correct. Because we're doing a subtle change to our brand, that'll be the new font, which you guys have. That is correct.
Gotcha. Is it going to be the same kind of thick, chunky letters that you have up there in terms of thickness?
Not as thick, but it will stand out. Yes.
Still have some dimension?
Yep.
Okay. Any idea what that dimension is? Is that ½ inch? Is that, looks like they're probably 2 or 3 inches now.
Let me pull up, hold on 1 second.
Ted, can you place the time frame of that original font or the original sign?
Oh boy, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Is it internally illuminated? I was curious.
I don't think so. I think it's just built up probably on a big foam chunky backer. That's my guess. But my first thought was, oh, maybe that's lit. And then I walked by and I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I don't have any kind of, he only has it as a 12 inch by 2 inch HDU description on here. He doesn't have what the depth's going to be on it.
Okay, 12 inch by 2 inch. So it's probably
Yeah.
2 inches thick.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's, what did you call it? HPU? Or
HDU letters.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's probably very similar to what's up there now. Probably a high density urethane letter with a painted finish. Which I'm guessing-
Yeah, not much of a change, just maybe a little bit on the font side.
Yeah, little more serif font. Okay.
So you made a point about the budget, that this is for 2 signs front and back, which we can approve front and back, right? It's still a facade improvement. Like you made the point, Ted, that the back is still a visible entry, right? And
My apologies, I wasn't aware that we can use the facade money for the back, but yes, it is for the front and the back.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was facing some, back alley or something, I would say probably not. But if they're both kind of public frontages, certainly that the plaza counts as a public frontage, I would think.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you, Craig. And then we have one more on our list, right?
That's correct. So our last one is 156 North Main Street. The applicant, Anya, is requesting a facade improvement to remove the existing tenant signage and add new exterior painting. Project's been quoted out at $4,300 and would qualify for the $2,500 rebate. And I see Anya here in the gallery. So if there are any questions, I'm sure she'd be glad to answer that.
Sounds great. Thank you, John. Well, Anya, welcome.
Thank you.
So you're going to do a little, you're going to get rid of the artist supplies sign, huh? And maybe make it more appropriate for your business?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Sounds good. And then there was mention of some colors. What colors are you painting this building?
We're thinking of like a pewter, a lighter gray, and then a color for the fascia that would either be brick red, which is very true to the building, or maybe a burnt orange. We're going to wait and see some swatches soon.
Gotcha. You doing any new signage as well?
We will be, but we didn't include this in the bid because we have a few bids. It's going to take months to schedule potentially, and we just kind of wanted to move on the painting while the weather is with us.
What are you doing with the big awning?
So the awning, we've had professionally cleaned once with really good results, and it's time for that again. Although we're thinking of either replacing or painting according to the new colors. It would be the color of the fascia trim. So the third color, which would likely be that brick red.
Gotcha.
Something that would tie in with the businesses we see across the street, Sprint and
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Nice to see some people breathing some new life into these buildings. They've needed it for some time.
It's wonderful, and the owner of the building renovated it beautifully. So
Yeah.
we love moving from our 700 square foot spot a few doors down to this. It's great.
Excellent. Any questions from board members?
I just have a comment that I'm looking at the street view right now. We have the big pine cone cafe sign that's next door, right, on a building that's no longer the pine cone.
Mhm.
And to me, there's something very interesting about having these remnants of signs that show a history of a downtown. So
Mhm.
the fact that your store is not Artist Supplies, it's not radically different than Artist Supplies in my mind, and I kind of like it up there, but I totally understand if you don't want to do that. I just think there's to erase all history each time a new tenant comes in is not as interesting to me as leaving the history.
We still have some signage inside left over from when it was a toy factory and when it was Hearthsong.
Yeah.
I was a child and I remember playing in there. You notice we haven't been in a big hurry to remove the lettering because we do sort of feel like it reflects our brand a little bit. These are handicrafts made by artists overseas. So, but it is a little confusing, especially to out-of-towners. They come in, they've parked, they're looking for the art store. And then, they get a little peeved, but
And if I could chime in here, Global Village has been on Main Street since before that Artist Supply sign was ever hung up.
well, before it was an art store.
Yeah.
Right.
30 years on
We
Main
hit
Street.
30 years at the end of May. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think keeping a piece of downtown Sebastopol would be the front of the building saying Global Village.
Fair enough.
There you go. So now you need to put up a Global Village sign that in 75 years is going to be like the pine cone sign.
And 75 years we'll still be here.
Right.
Well, it'll be our children, grandchildren,
Somebody will still be there.
hopefully.
Hopefully, that's right.
I love the charm of the pine cone next door, and that sort of feeling of what it's held.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, I saw part of the application that it said that swatches were attached. I don't know if it just didn't come through on my end, but I know you mentioned and you described the swatches well, Anya. But
Pardon?
did we not have them attached, or?
I can resend them. They were JPEGs that were samples from the paint company that were basically what I described to you: pewter, silver, or gray, and some sort of accent color. And I can definitely send those over to you.
John, can pull them up.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull them up real quick.
That'd be awesome.
I thought they were
Yeah.
included, but apparently not.
We did when we were doing the narrowing down, we were looking at Victorian and sort of post-Victorian house paint colors to stay true to the era. Yeah, that's a good example.
Help me out, Ted or Lars. Are those Benjamin Moore colors? Kelly Moore?
Looks like Sherwin-Williams.
Sherwin Williams?
Yeah, this is Sherwin-Williams. We actually have two bids that are very, very close that we're deciding between. One uses Sherwin-Williams and the other uses Kelly Moore.
Got it. Yeah. It's good colors.
Great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right. Any other questions on this item? Okay, then I guess it's time for us to have a conversation about how to move forward. So John offered a couple recommendations. One would be kind of taking the total and dividing it by our number of applicants. And then the other one I wasn't quite getting, the award each parcel, which has one address. Could you explain that to me a little bit better, John? I wasn't quite following that.
Yeah, so there are, so basically the one parcel that has one address would be 127 North Main and 156 North Main. And then those would get whatever that awarded amount, if it was up to the $2,500 amount. And then since the other ones are for Gravenstein Station, it's one parcel but multiple addresses, splitting that amount in an equal ratio. And then the other one being 150 and 154 North Main, since they are one building parcel with two addresses, kind of splitting that cost equally.
I get it. So kind of award it per parcel, not necessarily per address.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then I guess the other option would be to do some other math, new math.
Yeah. Yes.
Any thoughts, board members? What are the thoughts? Kerry's shaking his head.
I wish we had enough money for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. Yeah. Want everybody to have $2,500 period for each project.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get the parcel argument on the surface of it, but at the same time, Gravenstein Station is a big public frontage, that could use an injection of a little more money. So I kind of get that too. So I guess I'm kind of leaning toward the take what we have left and divide it evenly.
And what does that come out as? Where do we have that math here somewhere?
Yeah.
$2,139.37 each.
There it is. Yeah. Mhm.
It was almost 2,500.
It's 350 short.
Yeah.
It's reasonably close. It's a little,
My tendency is to lean towards John's suggestion, because although it's nice that this is it's an entry into town, but these are all, part of the downtown experience, and the three landscape projects, they feel like one project to me. So even what I was thinking personally was dividing giving the 2,500 to 150, 154 North Main, 127 North Main, and 156 North Main, and giving the balance, which came to $5,336.23 to the landscape project. That's sort of a slight modification of John's way of looking at it, but I would be happy with John's way of looking at it too. But the three landscape projects, they just feel like one project to me.
So Christine, if it's okay, can I paraphrase that? So you're saying that all the North Main Street projects would get the full rebate for $2,500, and then the remainder would go to the Gravenstein Station project?
Well, that was my first thought, but I would be willing, or okay with going along with John's interpretation, which was to pull out the 150, 154 North Main. So just the two projects, the 127 North Main and the 156 North Main, would get the entire 2,500 as separate entities, and then dividing up the balance between Gravenstein and 150, 154. I mean, I would be okay with that also. But I feel like the landscape project feels like one project to me, trying to get three different, dips into the pool.
Yeah, the
and
reason
it's also fairly undefined because we don't have the landscape design for it either. So
right.
those are my feelings. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm inclined to go with that direction as well, based on what we do know that we can give money to for certain versus what we don't know for certain. And so I'm on board with that approach in theory as well.
Well,
And
I
to-
believe, and let me ask John about this. If we're dividing this 3 landscape projects into a 3 separate properties, can they come back and apply again for additional money later when the funding re-ups?
No, so the parcels and tenants would not be eligible for future funding for 3 years. That's noted within the program directions itself.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. This is a complicated little nuance, but he pulls one of the addresses off.
Mhm.
Then we have enough money to divide amongst everybody. Then he comes back and reapplies after June 30th for the other address as a separate landscaping project, in which case he could get an additional 2,500 at that point. If this makes sense, if I'm making sense.
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, so they would just have to remove, you're saying remove one of the addresses from the application for this year and reapply next fiscal year to get the full rebate, essentially. Is that what you're asking, Christine?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there would be a problem with that. Basically, it would just be a withdrawal of their application, and we would not make not award that address.
That would get us at 12,500, which is almost what we have left.
Correct.
I think that's a good
I mean, that
strategy.
seems like it would make
if
sense to
Peyton's
the
in-
applicant.
Yeah, they'll get more money overall than they would if we divided out, with 3 addresses now with everybody.
Mhm.
I think that's a good idea if Mr. Kelly is up for that.
I'd be more than happy with that. I think that's a very fair solution. Would you guys have any problem? I mean, obviously, I want to get the water tower area done, and Spark has really been pushing for it. So would it be an issue if we did those 2 sides first and then did the middle last, or is there a preference on that?
I think that strategy sounds decent. I don't know that if I had a preference, I'd say start at the water tower and work your way down.
Yeah, and again,
I have to deliver something to Spark. Like, they're gonna be really frustrated if I can't get them something.
I think that we're so close to this deadline cutoff. I don't think it really matters to me which one you do first, because you're just going to roll into the next one.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess I guess if I could ask, what would be would it be an issue if I just move forward with all of the work and then applied retroactively, or is there any issue with that?
Let John confirm that, but I don't think there's an issue with that. Go ahead, Kerry.
Yeah. So I guess John, as a associate planner for the city, it needs to comply to the water efficient landscape ordinance, and that's something we especially me as a board, I need to confirm. It's again to protect the ordinance, and it's something I can't approve today because I have little to go on. So to defer to, I'm pushing more of a continuance on this type of project. I'd like to assure Peyton that, his best foot forward, good faith from us to his project is there, that there's a project. But for me to physically confirm a go ahead and start building with hundreds of plants on the ground without any type of assurance that it's going to meet a water efficient landscape ordinance and the estimated water use allowed, it's sort of, well, I can't do that. I'll put it that way. So every project I've seen today, other than this one, has the information that I've been able to assess and get behind and support. And I want Peyton to know that I do support his project. But with giving you approval to do that, it's lacking the information for me to move forward. So I hope that doesn't throw a wrench.
And so I guess,
okay.
no, that's fine. And I totally understand that. And I'll push my landscaper to get that design as quick as possible. I guess the question I had is, what would the process be for me? Like, I don't know how often you guys meet. Like, do we need to go to this meeting again? Or if I send you guys, a plan, John confirms it meets all the requirements of the city, like, are we going to be good to go? Or what's that process like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm wondering if the board can even, talk to John here about just waiving any new fees that kind of make the application process even that much more streamlined for something like Peyton and his team. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see it go through. I want to do that.
Yeah.
With all good faith, if that's a possibility.
So there is no application fee for the facade improvement program, so that wouldn't be an issue. It would mostly be because, an approval motion does need to be made. I would say, and I can confirm, with Carrie, if we continue it to the next meeting on the 18th, and Peyton is able to provide those documents that you as a board need to approve the project going forward, then we can take that route, and then also decide on if we are going to pull one of the addresses so that Peyton's team can get the full amount for all three parcels or all three addresses. I feel like we should make that decision tonight.
Okay.
Going forward.
I have a question for you, John. If he was just doing a landscape improvement and he wasn't trying to get into the program here, would he have to go in front of the design review board, or would it just be in the office or anyway a requirement for the water conservation?
It would just be a regular permit review, making sure that they met the requirements.
And the water conservation is part of the requirements?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I think if we pulled one project and he went ahead, I think the question more remains: can he apply after the fact for the monies if he did all three parcels at once? Can he come back in? Let's just say he pulls one parcel, he gets approval for two, we give him the funds. He does all three projects, and then on July 1st, he's able to come back and apply for the funds for the third parcel. Can he do that?
Yes, I believe that's a possibility for the facade improvement. Usually it's the opposite way, where the program is awarded before, or the amount is awarded before the work's done. But this way it would be flipped, where the work would be done and then we would be basically reimbursing the applicant for that. And Carrie just
because I certainly would be supportive. I would be supportive of that if that's something that we could do. If we could just decide right now, he pulls one now, we approve everybody the 2,500, and then he comes back after he's done the work and applies for the funding.
Okay, so
I would certainly be supportive of that, me personally.
Okay, so the item, Carrie just messaged me, the item can be continued for the next meeting, and no, they cannot apply after the work is done.
Okay.
My understanding, yeah.
Gotcha.
So if that was the case, then they could do the two for today's meeting or the next meeting if we continued it. And then for the third address, it would fall under next fiscal year's program.
But they'd have to hold off on doing that work until the next fiscal year. Gotcha. So, yeah, I just looked at in the application, it said has to be submitted prior to the work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to give, if we go that way, we talked earlier about is the budget going to be approved again? And I would think the answer is, the very high percentage. It's not like Peyton's going to have two projects approved and one that he doesn't then get funded for in July. Right. I mean, I think we could all probably say with high confidence this program will keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So when would we have another meeting, John, where he could present this? That's the next question. I mean, the new funding starts on July 1st, but when would he have a meeting where he could get approval for this?
Let me pull up the program. I believe it's roughly in October.
It's actually really good for a better growing season because we're going into the drought. I mean, to the heat, and you have more risk of failure. We're trying not to plant too late in the summer. Need a little bit more water to establish. You're using more water. You have a little more maintenance. We love planting in the fall, but I'm not you, Peyton. So.
Well, that makes sense. To be frank, I guess I'm not that, well versed in it. I kind of just rely on my landscaper, and I think we were more of the frame of mind, like, if we can get some money to, make the property look better, let's do it.
Yeah.
But we want to do it. Like, I don't even live in Sebastopol, right? So it's like, I assume all of you guys do, like, we want the residents of Sebastopol, to be happy with it. Whatever is going to be, best for you guys, if we could get the money, to help improve the property, we would love that.
Thank you.
And Carrie just showed up to save the day to answer.
Carrie, help.
I don't know, but I can try to provide guidance, and I'm sorry, I've been in and out today, so I didn't catch all of the conversation, but I'm aware of the funding issue. I can say that while it requires full council approval, the budget subcommittee has revealed the planning department budget and the facade improvement program. I do not think is in danger. It's requested the same funding as this year of 20,000. And I noted at that meeting that, this is actually the first year that we're oversubscribed, and that came to, people were very happy about that. So I don't, the budget subcommittee, I believe, will be recommending it to council, and council's been very supportive, obviously, in the past, with changing even the requirements to make it easier for folks. And I will note, yes, the reason you can't do the work and then apply for the funds. We have had a number of applicants in the past ask for reimbursement for something after they've done the work, and just to be super fair to everybody, we have to turn those folks away as well. And so that's where that comment came from. And John, was there another question?
I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Thank you, Carrie.
Okay. And I guess the other question for the board is, do we need, if we are going to earmark or approve funds for the Gravenstein Station, do we do that with a condition of approval that you want to see the plan back, right? Before those funds are finalized. So in terms of process, how do we do that? We'd be conditioning an approval, right?
And I think we've done that in the past where we actually kind of almost let staff approve these as long as they meet requirements.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm game for that. I think I'm supportive of Christine's approach, where we kind of divide up the main streets and take the balance and put it toward the Gravenstein Station. I think that sounds reasonable to me. Sounds like everybody else in agreement with that.
I am.
Oh, instead of pulling one of the addresses.
Instead of pulling one of the, well, I guess that's the other possibility. Pull an address and put that in the next fiscal year.
Yeah, so there's two options here. We can divide it, just give him the balance, which is, did I write this down? $5,336.25, and he can just call it good. Or he gets $5,000 for two parcels. We have this $336.25 sitting around, and then he can reapply with the third parcel. So I think we can ask Peyton which one he thinks
That
he
sounds
would
good.
want to
Peyton,
do.
Peyton, what would
I would love to reapply. That would be amazing. And I appreciate you guys making that option available.
So
Okay.
which one?
To pull one address and reapply.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I guess I'll leave that in your hands on which one, but I have to give something to Spark. They've been asking for this all year.
Yeah.
So I can either do the water tower and Spark, or I can do the middle train building and Spark.
I don't have a problem with that myself. I mean, you choose. You
Okay.
decide which parcel you want to pull.
I say 6761, so that we get the water tower. I think that's like truly the entrance to the Sebastopol, and I think that would benefit the most from it. So 6761 is the building we'd pull.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, well, I can wholeheartedly say, Peyton, when you come back with this, I will be happy about it. So you'll get my vote for 6,
Thank
7,
you, and we appreciate
1 in
that.
the future. So
All right. So it sounds like if we're pulling one, we can distribute evenly, correct?
correct.
All right. Someone want to throw a motion on the table to that effect?
I can do that. I propose that we approve all of the projects that are presented to us with the exception of 6761 Sebastopol Avenue, which we're pulling, and we award the full amount of $2,500 to each project.
Excellent. We have a motion. Can I have a second, please?
I'll be glad to second that motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's call the question. All in favor? Raise your hand, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And I heard Christine. So motion passes unanimously. Thank you to our applicants. We look forward to some improvements on those buildings.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
All right. What else do we have? Do we have anything else?
Yes, we were also going to go over the providing direction to staff regarding the potential fiscal year 2022, 2023 quarterly deadlines. If you guys would like to see those deadlines dates moved up from when they normally are.
What are they currently?
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull up. Applications. Carrie, do you know what the exact dates are?
I don't know. I know the last one is in April. And I think one of the things that we do run into is because the work needs to be completed by June 30th, end of the fiscal year, it's a use it or lose it. That is problematic for some folks. And I know we've had a couple of applications come back to us, the next year because they weren't able to meet that deadline. And so one of the reasons for potentially move them to be sooner after the July, after the budget is adopted. So perhaps, I think it's the first one is August for hearing in September, that maybe it's July and just moving it forward. So you would see the first batch sooner, second, third, and fourth. So that would mean the April, instead of the April deadline coming to you beginning of May like this, it would be coming probably beginning of April. And so I don't think we need to set exact dates with the DRB, but just a sense of that. And then I think we can take care of it at a staff level.
Gotcha. Yeah, the facade improvement thing says the deadlines for application are January 18th and April 19th.
Yeah, so it would be January 18th for the February 16th meeting, and then April 19th would be the deadline for the May 4th meeting. So it looks like there's roughly a couple weeks, 2 weeks between each the deadline and the first available meeting.
Gotcha.
Right, and so I know the first one of the year would have been, I think it was actually John's first meeting, so it was like the second meeting in September was the first for the year, and I think we could move that up to be, we do need to have the budget adopted, and enough room that people know about the program, although I think Laura Hager from Relaunch Sebastopol has done a fabulous job in promoting it. So I think that's also the concern this year, but so we don't want to have it too early in July, but I think even, July 30th would be fine for the first deadline. The budget would certainly be adopted by the beginning of July. Usually if they don't adopt it by June 30th, they will have a special meeting the first week of July to finish that up.
Yeah. I think rolling them forward is fine with me.
Okay, perfect. The last item that I wanted to mention, and this kind of comes off of the new scheduling format for hybrid meetings and whatnot. Carrie and I have been discussing, because we have had some cancellations of DRB meetings in the past, of doing a once a month meeting, and just kind of wanted to throw that out there as something to talk about. And I might agendize that as a discussion point for our next meeting going forward. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up on that, with the potential of going to a hybrid format or in-person meeting, and the need to secure a facility and renting it. If we are, going to have meetings that are canceled every once in a while, then that might be problematic for whoever we're renting that space from. And if there is a urgent need for a special meeting, we can always schedule that in advance.
Yeah, I mean, do we meet 50% of the time? I'm not sure we do. I guess the only real issue is making an applicant wait.
Correct. And
Yeah.
if it's a major project or something that's extremely time sensitive, then I feel that the special meeting format, could be used in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, if we had a standard meeting that was once a month, but the project came through and we got, enough notice, me personally, if I got a couple weeks notice that a special project was coming down the pike or something happening, and we were going to have a meeting in between that month scheduled to accommodate it, whatever, that would be fine with me.
Okay.
I don't know how everybody else feels, but.
Well, I agree with that theory as well, Ted. Summer's coming up. I know a lot of us probably take some vacation, and we've got commitments, and I've been trying to work around what's been already, on the agenda. It's the first and third of every Wednesday. If it's the third of every Wednesday, that's fine. It gives me a bit of a heads up. So I'm definitely game with that approach.
Yeah. Then we could be responsive to applicants when we need it to be, but have a little more predictable schedule. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay.
Perfect.
What else we have, John? Anything?
I think that's all that I have. I'm not sure.
Lars is waving.
Oh, Lars got something.
Oh, I thought Lars was waving goodbye.
Oh, no, I'm raising my hand. No. Here, would you prefer the raised hand? tool.
No, you're fine.
Just wanted to report from the Public Art Committee. I don't know how many of you noticed a lovely new sculpture on the side of the library. Anybody seen that?
I have not seen it.
Ed, come on, just walk down from your house. It's right there.
Yeah.
So that was a commission project from the PAC. And then I'd mentioned before the sculpture garden has started at Ives Park. We have 3 pieces installed, and we're now doing a second call for entries. So I could email this. I can email this to everyone. The deadline's coming up, but we're looking for more sculptures to put out there. So it's a community sculpture garden. It's very kind of sort of loose in its parameters of what can go there, but it's meant to be really just open, sort of, non-commissioned public sculpture. So I can send the flyer to everyone just so you have it, but that's what's happening on the PAC.
It's awesome.
Okay, now I'm leaving.
It's still fun walking through that park and seeing something there than nothing there, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it's always it's exciting to see, the pedestals that either have something or nothing, but it's always an opportunity. It's exciting. So I appreciate it, Lars. I'm glad you see something go out there, and it's fun. I walk around town a lot, and it makes you want to do that. So
nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Lars, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So on the alleged future hotel property, who decides what goes there? The
So
hammock?
every property that is big enough to contribute money for public art, the applicant has the choice to create their own public art or pay into a fund, in lieu fund. So the piece on the library came from that in lieu fund. In the case of the hotel, because they've worked with Ned before and they wanted to have him do a piece again, they're using him for their artwork there.
So who's doing that? Who's doing that? So they're just putting that up there, though, right? I mean, because they haven't built the project yet. So do they have to put the art up there, or how's that working out? I mean, what's the deal on that project or that property?
Well,
things appear there.
Oh, okay. Well, the artwork on that property now, Christine. So when the hotel went, when they stalled out on starting the construction, they leased the property to Ned. And he's just using it as a prototype kind of workspace. So that's what's been happening. And now, so from what I understand, in talking to the architect and the developer, they're getting ready to start construction on the building. And with that building, there is some artwork that Ned is doing to satisfy the public art piece.
Okay. I was just wondering how that got decided or what was going on with that. Just as a curiosity, what's going on with that property, with the art? Because things appear there.
Yeah, it's great. I get to watch it unfold all the time. It's much better than a vacant lot across the way.
So, if I may, there's a chain link fence that goes around the entire property. Is it just a risk of liability that people couldn't interact with that art that's there? Because it's beautiful. It'd be fun to see, the whole site seated over and kind of a green field, and you kind of get to touch things. It feels a little bit of a disconnect, unfortunately, because the work's beautiful. It's just surrounded by a chain link fence.
Yeah. Well, it was surrounded by a gray chain link fence, and Ned at least painted it black, so it would sort of look a little better or disappear a little more. But I actually approached the developers to do an art opening, in a sense, like making an event of some sort, and they were definitely liability, conscious. Yeah. Unfortunately, maybe something could still happen before it all goes away, before construction of the building starts. But I would love to do that. But that they didn't bite on that one. Yeah. That's what I know from my perspective right here.
Well, I guess it's still better than nothing, right?
Much better, much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this piece, the orange squares, you know, the wall, it's unbelievable to watch that through the course of a day, or the, you know, nighttime headlights on it, the wind. It's just amazing to watch the dynamic quality of that piece. Much better than a vacant lot.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, Ted.
Sure.
Good job as always.
Yeah.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.
All right.
All right. See you
Sign
in a
off.
couple weeks.
Bye.
All right, guys. Later.
Go to the
Thank you.
library. I guess I got to walk the library.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better.
Down there.